Hello and welcome everybody. I know. We have good news, but the markets don't react. They're just going down. Nothing good is happening in the market. So today I want to have a look at bulls versus bears. So we analyze both sides. It's very important as a trader that you look at both sides and you don't get too caught up with just one opinion. So today I want to look at both sides with you. We start with the bears, then we look at the bulls, what speaks for what, and in the end I will actually give you a chart that has never been wrong. Not many people speak about this. It has never been wrong. Stay excited and let's just jump in right into the charts. So first chart we have Bitcoin US dollar. Let's have a look at that. What's going on here? And this is a bearish one because this is the 2-week chart. And if we look at the 2-week chart, every time we hit this trend line up here, we had our top, at least the local one. Because in 2013, 2014, it happened twice. We came back up here and went down then. I have to say, don't pay too much attention to this one because it's the first cycle. It's not really a lot of data that this is based on, so I wouldn't value this one too much. The next one had quite a lot of data, so very on point. We hit it and that's it. Bear market starts. Never came back up. 2021, same thing. We hit the trend line on the 2-week RSI. It shows the relative strength, so how much momentum is in the market. And then actually we crashed. We had a second peak here, but the second peak was actually lower on the RSI, so we had a strong bearish divergence. That's why a lot of people say it was not the real peak, because in the end there was no momentum, and some people say that some market participants pushed the market up. In the end we had a higher high, so that's why I'm saying this strategy is not always on point, and I prefer the monthly actually, and there it looks like we still have some room. And then we had our local high here. Interesting part is that the price has been higher now, but, and this we will look in the next chart at, is that we had a bearish divergence on the RSI while we had a higher price. This is exactly what happened on the last peak. So we really hope that this is not the case again, but we have to consider that this is possible. It's not an impossible outcome. If we look at it here, we had same thing, 2021. We had a lower high on the RSI, where we actually built a higher high in the charts. And what we have now looks pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. But there's a counterpart to it. There has been a time where it actually went different. We had it here in 2023, that actually we had a bearish divergence, and it was not the top. It was not the top. And I think this is a part where we have to look also at cyclical behavior, seasonal behavior. Where are we in the cycle? How is the economy doing? And that's why we look at everything and not just at patterns. Patterns are great. Charts are great. Why are charts great? Because they show human emotions. And yeah, we can learn some things, but we do the same stupid mistakes all the time over and over again. And that's why I look for patterns in the charts, because it's patterns of human emotions, which actually repeat all the time. So I can find structure that repeats and that we can learn from and that we can use for the future. Of course, it's very dubious, the speculations that we're doing here, but it's a great indicator to find similarities, and often it works. Not every time. That's why we look at everything. The next chart we have is the S&P 500. We looked at this on the monthly chart, and it's actually a downtrend on momentum since 2018, 2017. So this is going to play out at some point towards the downside. And my base case is that this happens next year or by the end of this year, more in 2026. Usually midterm years are bad years for the markets. And this is what I expect, especially for crypto. This is what I expect to happen again, because it happened all the time. And I heard so many times, Leon, this time everything is different. But then in the end, nothing was different. So let's see if everything is different this time or not. As long as we continue here, we still have a chance to make it good. But what happened now is that we actually lost the support. It looked like we break this trend line, we tested it, and then we fell down below it again, which is not good, guys, because if you look what happened last time is we had the same thing in 2021. We checked the trend line and then the downward trend came. We had the same thing here, January 2018, and then we had a really long period which was really quite shit. We don't want to have something like this here, because this took from January 2018 until July 2020, until we really pushed higher. Until then we had like higher highs and lower lows. This is exactly what we don't want to have. It's the same thing we had in the 70s. Not good. It's not nice times to trade. We want a clear trend. We want the trend to continue. So we better have the point that we actually move back up here, manage to hold this trend line, have a downtrend, and then at some point a heavy correction. This is better for the markets than this up and down chop, because it's really hard to make money in these times. So we have to keep an eye on this. Like, how is this going to develop? And yeah, we don't know yet. I mean, we have 20 days to go. We have 20 days to go to actually get back above here. Not sure if we're going to make it. Let's have a look. But then not everything is bearish. Not everything is bearish. As I said, we look at both sides, and these are the parts that tell us that we actually might look for a bear market. I know it's all reasonable things, but there's a lot of things that speak against it, and that's why it's so complicated at the moment, and why you have the feeling that nobody really knows what's going on, because nobody knows. I have no idea. You have no idea. Nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball. All we can do is look at both sides of the scenario and then build our decision based on that. I will tell you what's my decision in a little bit, but let's jump into the bull scenarios here and what actually speaks for a bull market continuation. Because we should not forget, we're still in a bull market. So far, nothing is confirmed that we're in a bear market. It's just the question if the bull market is over or not. So far, we have no confirmation. So let's look at both sides. And when we look at the bull market, first of all, first and foremost, if we're in a bear market, everything is different. Bitcoin dominance is going to rise to levels that we never had, because we don't have a Bitcoin dominance rise while the altcoins are not losing. We don't have a Bitcoin bear market while the altcoins lose less than Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. It never happened before. Also, they're the higher risk assets. Higher risk assets always lose more than the lower risk assets. So I'm very sure that this is not going to happen. We're not going to move into a bear market where the altcoins are stronger than Bitcoin. This is not going to happen. So if we're in a bear market, we will not get an altcoin season. We didn't have an altcoin season. It's the first cycle without an altcoin season. Ethereum hasn't built a new all-time high, which never happened before. Usually Ethereum even outperforms Bitcoin. But that would mean it didn't even make a new high. It would mean Bitcoin dominance, as I said, goes to levels we've never seen before, which I can't really imagine. And everything would be different. And I can tell you, I'm in the market since 2016, and so many times, really so many times I heard everything is different. This time everything is different. We have the super cycle. We have the super meme coin cycle. We have, I don't know, there's a lot of names. But in the end, nothing was different. Actually, the patterns repeat, and this is why I love crypto, so on point. We have a correlation of like 90-95%. So if you don't listen to all the noise around, but actually focus on the patterns and what happened before, and you stick with it, so far you've done very well. It's not a guarantee that it's going to be the same in the future, but the likelihood is very high. So I stopped talking and let's look at the charts. What is happening here? We have the DXY. This is very important, dollar strength chart. It shows how strong is the dollar compared to other currencies. And right now, we are below the trend line. It's showing weakness, and this is what Trump wants. Trump wants a weaker dollar and lower interest rates, which will be good for our crypto, because this is how he can strengthen the economy, and this is how he can do his real estate investment. So we're back under the trend line. We had a really strong bearish candle here, and that's a good sign. On this chart, we want a bearish candle. So this is a counterpart that actually speaks that we might see an upwards continuation very soon. The next chart I brought you is a trade that I'm long in, and I haven't spoken about this before. But it's a really important one. So this is Marathon Digital Holdings. Marathon Digital Holdings is the biggest mining company of the US. So there's this massive wedge forming here since a long time. And we're chopping around, and actually this trade has been very disappointing because Bitcoin was much better performing, and usually it's kind of like a trade on Bitcoin, but actually stronger. So this is how it's always been. Bitcoin goes up 100%, the miners go up 200%. Not this time. Not this time. And for me, there has been the question, did the ETFs change everything? Because a lot of people use this type of trades to actually have a hedge, or like to invest in Bitcoin without buying physical Bitcoin. But now they can buy ETFs, so they don't have to buy the miner stocks anymore. So my question was, is it the case this time that we don't see the same thing happening? But there is something that speaks really much against it, and I want to show you. So first of all, it looks like we are getting close to re-enter the wedge. We want to see that, because then it was a fake out and we can continue. The price target of this wedge would be exactly the high from last time, which is almost at 85. We're at 15. So there's a lot of room to go. It would be a really interesting trade. I bought stocks, I'm in plus, but not as much as I would wish to. And actually I would have been more in plus with Bitcoin. But I think as soon as we get a change in monetary policy, like QT ends, we have the high likelihood that we actually go up here. Because maybe it's the same as altcoins. It just needs the liquidity to rise. And why I'm so optimistic is this. Marathon Digital Holdings, BlackRock Inc. ownership in Mara. And look at this. Guys, they own 15.4% of the whole shares. And they have been buying. Like here you can see the dates when they have been buying. They have been buying the last time in October. Since February 2022. This is also, I started shortly after this to buy because I heard BlackRock is buying Marathon Digital Holding stocks. There we had no ETF on Bitcoin, nothing. And they just started buying shares from this company massively. They invested huge amounts of money. And then they bought again in January 2023. They bought again in January 24, in June 2024, and then in October 2024. And they built up their position so far that they actually own 15.4%. 15.4%. And then there is this chart also, which shows us the institutional ownership in this share. I mean, look at that. January 24, since then, the ownership of institutions raised massively. Huge change that happened here. And if we look at that, the interesting part is that BlackRock, the last time they bought, we said 18th of October. 18th of October, that was about here. So they bought higher than we are now. Little reminder here, nobody buys perfect. Neither BlackRock, nor I, nor you. So actually, they bought in October around the price of $19. Now we're at 15. So I don't think they will sell in a loss. I think they know what they're doing, and I think they're just waiting for something to happen that we haven't seen yet. So this is very bullish news for me. Because BlackRock usually knows a bit more than us. Let's be honest. They have some tools and software and people that we don't have. And then there's this one. The correlation of the ISM. And guys, this is the chart that I told you about. I told you I give you a special chart that has never been wrong. Here it is. Here it is. And this is very interesting. It's the ISM. And the ISM, whenever it went above 50, it's a positive trend. Whenever it went above 50, and you have the little boxes here on the red chart. Whenever it went above 50, the real uprise for Bitcoin started. And when it topped, we were close to the top on Bitcoin. It happened in 2014. It happened in 2017, the whole upwards trend. It happened in 2021. almost the whole upwards trend. You can see Bitcoin rises when we're above 50 until the top. And what is now? We just crossed 50. We just crossed 50. So if this chart is really right, and if this chart continues to be right, then we haven't even really started. Right now, and that's the big issue I see, is I don't know where should the momentum come from. I don't see where should come the positivity come from. Where should all this come from? There is a lot of liquidity coming into the markets, and I think what holds it back right now is the US, because they are not going away from QT. Europe is lowering interest rates. They plan to put more money into the market, so they need to lower interest rates because otherwise their debt goes too high. China is putting money in the market. The rest of the world is putting money in the market, just the US is not. What if the market is looking too much at the US? And actually, this time we don't have to look so much at the US. I want to remind you, 2017, quantitative tightening started in October. And we had the peak for altcoins in January. So actually, we had a bull run into quantitative tightening and nobody cared. Why was that? Because a lot of liquidity came from Asia. And it's definitely possible that we have the same here. So, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. And I actually think as long as the ISM is that low, as long as global M2 liquidity is rising, and as long there is nothing broken and we don't have a recession or anything, there is not too much to worry about. I think people get a bit too anxious here, too much panic in the market, which might be wanted by big institutions because they're buying as retail is selling. Let me know what you think. What are you doing? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait it out, see what happens next, and going to keep you updated here when there's any specific changes. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ciao.